So current news platforms, they implement a lot of user data and the process of clickbait. What are your thoughts on this, and do you think this is rightly implemented?
Yeah, I believe that it's the business models and the month after month seeking of profits via deficient business models that has led to a lot of issues with the world faces right now with misinformation and with scams that happen. And it's unfortunate that these, what I call these deficient business models in technology are, and using things like AI and using things like algorithms that are unfortunately creating turmoil and allowing unsophisticated people, to get put into these traps. I'm not a fan of clickbaity articles. I think that it's a path to sell more advertising or to serve business models. I think it's lazy. I think there's better ways to create value that serve more people that aren't deficient and don't exclude people or don't lead to people being upset with the way that people do things. The same thing with advertising models, user collection of information. These are all things that I think are just standards now. Unfortunately, they're being questioned, and they've been questioned for a while. And for the last 10 years, I've been building products to empower people in technology that doesn't rely on advertising models, doesn't rely on collection of user information, all with the premise of the end user should be in control of their identity, communication, and money. And that's how I built things. And I think models to make money need to be thought about better, and they need to be done in inclusive fashions that create more wins for people and don't create the harm that we're seeing to emerge, that's emerging. I think the epidemic of misinformation, the whole attention economy, how can products, they're fighting to get people's attention, and they're fighting to keep them within their products. And I just don't think that equates with how humane technology should be built. I think that we should be doing things, or technologies, not we, sorry. I think technologies should be built that they improve people's lives. I think they should be built that they improve relationships. They improve things. They're not here to keep you transfixed into their screens, into selling their advertisements to serve their clients. So I think it needs a complete rethinking, and I feel very fortunate to be working in a space where I feel I've contributed to the idea of the user should be in control. It shouldn't be third parties that are holding your information. The money should be held by you. It shouldn't be held by third parties. Of course, different options and choices are available to people, and that's fine. But as a whole, I think there needs to be a complete rethinking of the way that money is made, and a rethinking of the way that business models, which I think just need to be made better and need some better problem solving to come up with better wins for more people. So I'm not happy with the models that exist or that are the standards right now. And I do think that it needs to be changed in ways that more people are served.
That definitely agree with that. And in terms of people's mentality, do you think it has changed since the launch of the Bitcoin Alliance in Canada?
Well, I mean, I don't think that's an exact date or when things change. I think things are gradually changing. I think people are understanding more and more that technology is providing new options, new choices, new solutions. At the same time, I think it's providing other opportunities for people. It's definitely changed over the last 10 years. I think the idea that something like Bitcoin is a household name now, I don't think there's pretty much anyone in the developed world has heard about Bitcoin now, and it's the similar thing now almost for Ethereum, where it's becoming that household name, where people understanding the power that Ethereum has, and similar to Bitcoin, but even more advanced and more available to create change in many other sectors. So there's definitely been a shift and a change, and people understanding that it's similar, I think, to where the internet was emerging, that it's something that they need, that understanding is important, and people are looking for information on how they can utilize it and how it's going to impact their lives, impact their jobs, impact their families. So yeah, there definitely has been a large change since when the Bitcoin Alliance of Canada was set up in 2013, I think it was, to where we are now, almost 10 years later, and it has been an interesting progression. And it's great to see a lot of the world embracing and understanding and starting to figure out that it is something that's going to create empowerment. It's going to create a lot of value for people.
Would you say are the key contributors for this change, for the shift?
I think it's a lot of the entrepreneurs, the businesses that have emerged to provide services and value and choice in the ecosystem, making things simpler for people to use it, exchanges that have emerged in order for people to get exposure to it, ETFs that have emerged recently. It's really an entire sector that's emerged. There's many different factors, I think, that have created value and that have added to its growth over the last number of years.
Just going back to the topic of, misinformation in the media, what would you say is the solution to that?
I think the solution is new ideas, and I'm just saying that this is not the best way to do it. Here are solutions on how to do it in a better fashion. I've always built my business on partnerships. I think that's the way to monetize. When your partners do well, you do well. I think monetizing on advertising models which are serving other people within your products, or doing it through collecting user information, which eventually could get exposed or hacked, and having to control that information in centralized systems is just asking for issues to happen. And I always say, the best way to protect someone's information is to not give it out, and for having the end user never have to give out that information. So I think that, sorry about that.
No worries.
So I think the ways are to bring forth better ideas, and I got these ideas and ways to solve problems of saying, the models maybe are deficient right now. They're serving some people, they're not serving everybody. And I think the best way to have change is to create new ways of thinking and new ways of problem solving that serve as close to 100% of the people that we can. Because when you exclude people from the solutions, they're not on your side with what they're doing because they don't really care, because you're not benefiting them. And B, you have an opportunity to bring them on board with what you're doing and provide solutions that improve their lives and get them to join you to create movements of aligned individuals together towards common goals. So I think what's needed is better problem solving and leaders and more leaders to be developed and more problem solvers to get developed. And that's really one of my goals and missions moving forward, is to create leaders and to create problem solvers that are working together to create more wins for more people, and looking at current models and saying they're not as efficient as they can be. They're not bringing on as many people to the solutions as we should be doing, and they're not creating alignment with the way that they're operating. In fact, a lot of them are creating harm. And that harm is growing. And technology, to me, is one of the greatest issues we have. It's also one of the opportunities that we have to create better change and better improvements for life. But the way that it's being done with a lot of organizations and structures, I think is aligned with how a lot of the financial institutions have worked. And you're in these cycles of investors and seeking profits that lead to a degradation of the planet, degradation or harm towards people, because they haven't just been thought through better and how to create better wins for more people. So I think it's possible. I think new ways of creating value need to be explored. And I think new leaders need to emerge that are aligning well with how to serve as many people in the world as possible. And I'm hoping that's something that I'm going to be able to achieve and bring forward, because I've recognized it's been over 10 years that the models that exist in tech are going to lead to the change, and a lot of the tech companies that are following these deficient models and do not create the change needed will not be around anymore. And the ones that are understanding that if the old ways aren't working, what are new ways that need to emerge to work? And if that's the focus, it's those companies that will recognize it early and will recognize new opportunities and ideas that the incumbents don't have. And unfortunately, their desire to serve investors and to create the most amount of profits as possible are coming at a cost, and new emerging ecosystems will develop where people will be more aligned, and unfortunately those incumbents will not be able to keep up. And it's just a cycle that's happened in every other industry, and very similar to what's happened in the financial industry, what's happened with companies that couldn't adapt in publishing or in the news industry when the internet came about. It's happening now, and unfortunately, it's the tech companies that I'm seeing as the ones that are going to be left behind because of their inability to change, because they're so large and they've been stuck in business models that unfortunately are going to lead to their demise.